Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Extreme Z Battle for Strength, Global Harmony through Destruction, Beerus and Whis. So obviously this is the latest LR Extreme Z Awakening and they look pretty good. I think it's always interesting to see. The units that will be effective here are Super AGL, Extreme AGL, and Legendary Existence category characters. You also need to specifically have the Legendary Power link skill activated, because it's quite important in terms of getting damage done. If you don't have it activated, it could take you a while to get this event done. So basically, beyond that, there's not too much else to note about this. Obviously, I'll discuss their EZA details a little bit during their kind of stages and everything, because we've got a little bit of time to kill. But overall, their EZA looks pretty good. I think it strengthens what they did before, whilst adding in a bit of defense that they sorely needed to kind of handle red zones. The big thing about these guys is they're not on a lot of categories. I think they're on 7 in total, or even just 6, and that's not the craziest amount of categories. So I think honestly they could have made them a lot better, and when I say a lot better, I don't mean that they're bad. I simply mean that I think they could have made them really strong to compensate for the fact that they're not a unit that's likely to ever appear on a ton of categories. Whis and Beerus units aren't renowned for being on 1,000 categories, so I think making them super strong would have been something really cool and probably warranted for the unit. In terms of free-to-play options for Legendary Existence, there's not a lot, and there's also not a lot of scope in terms of leads. I think the best lead is obviously the only lead, being the Int LR Super Saiyan Goku. But there's some good pseudo leads. You can use a Storied Figures lead under Tapion and Minotia. You can also use a Miraculous Awakening lead under Ultra Instinct Goku. And you can also use a Realm of the Gods lead under the Ultra Instinct Goku sign. And you can use a couple other leads, like I'm using the Superclass Goku as a lead. Whichever one you choose, you should be okay. But the most important thing is to have at least 2 LRs. Now, because we don't have a free-to-play LR, you're left with a couple choices. If you're on global, a great choice is the Int LR Godku. He's a fantastic choice, obviously, for this event. Tapion and Minotia are pretty good. You also have the Super Saiyan God Goku and Hit, who are also a pretty good choice. And you have the Ultra Instinct Sign Goku, both of who I don't have. But your only real AGL LR choice is the MUI Goku, who surprisingly most players probably will have the most out of all of these units, considering he's a big anniversary DFE unit that's been on a couple banners. So that's basically it. I'm going to make a superclass team just to run under a different viable lead, and yeah, basically we're just going to see how things go. The only real free-to-play access LR you have is the Demon King Piccolo Elder, and although he's obviously okay, it's difficult to actually wangle him in under the other leads. The extreme side of the spectrum here is not very strong. There's no leads for it, and it's not a great category to run. You could go like Space Traveling Warriors, I guess, under Strength Bojack, but I just don't really see it being that effective. Please remember also that Extreme Z Awakenings for legendary units aren't the easiest things in the world. So if you are struggling to do it, it's okay to struggle. It will return in future, so don't panic too much. It's going to be quite difficult for new players to do an Extreme Z Awakening for LR units, so yeah. Beyond that, there's nothing too much I think needs to kind of be mentioned. I think, as always, the standard kind of tactics that apply is just to simply link up the 2 LR units so that they have legendary power active, and this will enable you to have a pretty decent time. You'll be able to obviously essentially do your damage. If you don't have legendary power active, the unit won't do damage, so it's not enough for them to just have the link. You need them to actually have legendary power active, which, you know, is important. But with that being said, that is basically everything you need to know in terms of friend lead. Please take the int LR Goku. Not only is he the highest lead for the category, but him being an LR gives you another linking option, especially if you yourself maybe only have one LR under your team. You're definitely going to need that friend Goku a lot more than anything else. Also, he's probably the best and most suitable lead by a country mile. Please also remember that Beerus and Whis are movie boss enemies. So for example, if you've got the Tech Goku, or Tech Godku as we all know him, he will be able to defend quite well against him. But if you have any units that have good bonuses against movie boss units and you're able to use them on your team, consider doing so, because it will help out. A ton of the Bardock sub EZAs that we just received also count under legendary existence, so those should be able to help you out as well. We're going to be taking a look at stage 10 and seeing how things go, but yeah, in general things are pretty straightforward. So you have global harmony through destruction, Beerus and Whis, and honestly speaking, they look pretty good. So obviously their leader skill got augmented. I don't really know how big a deal 120% strength lead is. It's okay. I personally think they should just make type leads 150. I know we're not maybe in that meta, but it's, you know, really like not great. In terms of the super attacks, they've added raising attack and defense on the 12 key, which is good, and upped the recovery from 7 to 10%. On the ultra super attack, they've updated the HP from 12 to 15, and they greatly raise attack and defense, which is good. They've changed the unit quite substantially, giving them an attack and defense of 150% as a base, which is pretty huge considering the unit didn't have anything before. They also have key plus 7, which is very helpful, and this is just permanent basically. Media chance, or they have a medium chance of performing a critical hit, which is great, and an additional attack and defense of 70% with a high chance of evasion for 7 turns after receiving an attack. This is good. Basically, I think this is their big saving grace. A 50% chance of evasion for 7 turns after receiving an attack is a pretty long period of time, and I think honestly it gives them the relativity that they need. The big thing for these guys you must understand is that their pairing partners aren't crazy. The best pairing partners for them are going to be the 2 Whis units from the sub EZAs. The physical Beerus is not really at the level for this, so that's why I say it's very good for them to be individually quite strong, because right now their specific linking partners for them are not too great. A 7-turn evasion period helps them out a lot, because it enables them to also run as a floater sufficiently enough. They will also launch an additional super attack if your HP is 70% or less. I think these guys are in a good space to be like a very strong floating unit that can heal, that can sustain you. I don't think they are, you know, a unit that I see being a strong main rotation option, and not so much because of them, but more just because of the lack of sufficient pairing partners for them. I think their best 2 pairing partners, as I mentioned before, are now the EZA Tech Whis and the EZA Int Whis, which is, you know, obviously not that they're bad units or anything, but just obviously kind of gives a little bit of a limitation on this unit. But with that being said, they are a unit that's already limited in terms of their categories. So although they themselves are a tad limited, I do think, you know, they're at least getting some kind of assistance. I think Int Whis will look really good alongside them. I think giving them some support, the additional crit chance is all really solid. But again, I think they're better as a floating unit. Do they beef up their teams? Well, yes. I think they boost Realm of the Gods. I think movie bosses, they don't really help out a lot because, again, as a pairing partner, there's just not a lot going for them there. Joined forces, I think they help. Siblings Bond is good because Whis and a lot of their best linking partners are on there. Same with Bond of Master and Disciples, and same with Space Traveling Warriors. So I do think there's some increased viability for them. but I think the teams that they're on aren't insane. If we look at all those teams, maybe Realm of the Gods is the one that's most recently gotten quite a few buffs, but I just don't see them having a lot of teams. That being said, I don't have them, so unfortunately I can't review them, but I have taken a look at them and they look really, really good. So I am happy about that, and for people who've had them, I think it's great. But that's it from me. See you next time. Bye.